What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Chris Gunther Show. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure that you like and you share this video to anybody that follows sports media. Y'all know this man right next to me. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Chris Broussard. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Good. First of all, thank you for taking this time out with me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Man, I feel like it's been a long time coming. Like, I first met you when I was 16. Like, I remember you had came to preach for Bishop Blackwell's church.
Yes, mega church.
Sure did, yeah. And man, I just remember so much stuff. We'll probably talk about that off camera, but regardless of it, you're here in town. You actually just got done speaking at the War Conference here at Church from North Coast. So how'd that go for you?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. I want to thank Pastor Troy Thompson for inviting me to speak and allowing me to speak. I had a great time. Hopefully the men enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah.
But it's always fun being in the presence of men of God and being able to share with them some of my experiences and my story in a way that hopefully inspires and empowers and emboldens them in their walk with Christ.
You know, and speaking about empowering and emboldening people, that's actually what you get a chance to do every week when you're talking sports, because those of us that are believers, we see somebody that we know is a godly man, but can also go toe-to-toe with the best of them. What is that like for you?
Well, you have to know your stuff. You have to really stay on top of sports. And when I'm on television, I'm mainly doing the NBA. So if you ever see me on Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, I'm just talking NBA. On K.I.N.G, The Herd, mostly just talking NBA. But my radio show, The Odd Couple with Rob Parker, that's when we talk about football, college football, baseball. It could be anything in sports.
Yes.
So all told, it keeps you, you have to just follow sports, which I would do anyway as a fan of sports. But, you know, you need to come up with strong opinions. And part of the job is like, you know, you're critiquing athletes and coaches and stuff. And because you're a public figure on television and radio, people critique you. So I always...
You caught a lot of critique and a lot of flack when you said that Kawhi Leonard was going to come into the Lakers, and the next thing you know, he joins the Clippers.
Right. So I always look at it like, if I am critical of others, I have to be able to accept criticism myself.
Yes.
Because it would be hypocritical if I get mad and I cut people off or rail against people for being critical of me, particularly when I'm wrong, which I was wrong in that instance, and then to expect athletes not to do that when I am critical of them. But it's not all being critical. It's really just calling it like you see it. I don't look to go out and be negative, of course, but when something unfortunately that's negative happens, such as the Myles Garrett incident or some of the stuff Antonio Brown was doing earlier this season, then you have to call it like you see it. And I just try to, you know, be based in the truth.
Yes.
And, you know, just keep it real. That's what I try to do.
Keeping it real right now, who do you feel was more so to blame for the whole Browns and Steelers incident that happened on Thursday night?
Myles Garrett, period. I mean, first of all, I think he started it by holding on to Mason Rudolph long after the play had, you know, Rudolph had gotten rid of the ball. The receiver had the ball, I think was even running with it, and Garrett still had him and was taking him to the ground. Now, he didn't put his weight on him, which is against the rules now, and land on him, but he did take him to the ground and went to the ground with him. And that's where Rudolph was kind of like, yo, dude, get out. That's what he was offended by.
Yeah.
And he was grabbing at the helmet and all that. So if Garrett had just ripped off his helmet, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. And you could have even understood it because Mason was trying to get his helmet off. But to use the helmet as a weapon the way he did, that's just indefensible.
He should really be thankful that he didn't fully connect with Mason, because if he did, he probably would be locked up right now.
We'd be talking about a much different story. And the thing I've said about Myles Garrett is, as bad as this is, as you said, he should be thanking God, first of all, that he didn't hit him flush with the meat of the helmet.
Yes.
And secondly, he can overcome this. As bad as it looks, he's obviously missing the rest of the season, if not more. He's obviously losing money. His reputation is going to be negative for a good while. But Ron Artest rebounded from the malice at the Palace. Steven Jackson was involved in that. He's rebounded. Players have come back. Kobe Bryant had his situation in Colorado, has rebounded. So players have come back from tough situations. And so, Kobe's was different. Obviously, he wasn't guilty of, he wasn't found guilty and all that. But still, it was a sticky situation and he came back from it. And so Garrett has to look at situations like that and have a positive attitude, as positive as he can at this point.
Yes.
And look, I'm coming back from this. I'm going to repair my image, and I'm going to get back on the football field and wreak havoc within the rules, because he's a great player.
He is. It's just, unfortunately, he got caught up in the wrong thing at the wrong time. Honestly, I think that could possibly jack up his image moving forward.
Oh, it definitely will for the time being. Again, I think he can overcome it. Now, some people, maybe they'll never let him get past it. But I've seen too many reclamation stories.
Yes.
And so in the sports, Mike Tyson, George Foreman, like people who, were really had bad situations. Mike Tyson has become a beloved figure, and he spent 3 years in prison for rape. So people can bounce back. In America, they always seem to like, a comeback story. So he can come back. He's just got to do the right things. We had Hugh Jackson on the Odd Couple yesterday, who drafted Myles Garrett when he was coach of the Browns. He said he's a good young man. He said this was out of character. There was a story Myles Garrett even told himself where recently a fan came up and punched him in the face. And Garrett kind of laughed about it and didn't punch him back. That shows, if he was just an out-of-control, violent maniac, he probably would have tore the dude up, you know. So I think he just lost his cool. Now, I'm not belittling what he did by saying he lost his cool, because people have lost their cool and maimed people or killed people, So
all the way,
that's a bad thing. But I think he really lost his cool. He was caught up in the moment. And unfortunately, he's going to have to pay the price.
You've been around this business for so many years. You're covering the NBA. You've been doing that for so long. Who are some of the NBA teams this season that have really surprised you?
Well, there have been a lot. Miami is one. They've played great basketball. I expected them to make the playoffs, to be a lower-rung playoff team. And look, it's early. Maybe they'll fall back. But so far, they've played great. Phoenix has emerged. A lot of young teams are really coming up. Dallas, of course. I knew Dallas had – I love Luka Doncic. I think that dude is the truth.
I love his smooth demeanor on the court.
Man.
Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's just right there in the middle.
He's a future MVP candidate. He might even be this year if they keep playing this well. But Kristaps Porzingis I like. So they're ahead of my schedule, though. I didn't expect them to be this good this soon. And, again, we'll see if it continues. But those are three teams right there. And Toronto, I expected Toronto, again, it's early, but I expected Toronto to be good, still in the playoffs, still a team fighting for home court advantage in the first round. But they look good. They play hard. Pascal Siakam has gone to the next level. And they are a contender in the Eastern Conference to get back to the finals.
Western Conference contenders, who do you have besides the Lakers and the Clippers?
I think those two are I don't want to say head and shoulders, but they're on a level by themselves. Houston is very good. Utah is very good. Denver is very good. Portland's struggling, obviously. San Antonio is not as good as I thought, at least at this point. They'd be. Obviously, Golden State is out of it. So I would say those three teams I mentioned, Utah, Denver, and Houston. But the Lakers and the Clippers, in my view, are the class of the Western Conference.
You actually had mentioned Portland, and you see that Portland just signed Carmelo Anthony. Do you really think that's going to help them moving forward?
It can help. It's not much of a game changer.
This isn't the 2010 Carmelo.
No. And it's not a big three with C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard and Melo. It could work in that they could use a stretch four, which he can play the four, to open things up even more so for those two guards. They can run pick and pop, where if you blitz Lillard, blitz McCollum, they can kick it to Melo. He can get a jumper. He can post. He can score. I think good for them would be he averages 12 or 13 points fairly efficiently off the bench and helps them get back in the playoff race. That's good. I don't really expect anything more than that. Bad would be it doesn't work, and in a few weeks, he's gone.
Yes. Speaking about, moving forward and things going to work, who is your pick right now for the NBA champion? Because I'm going with my Lakers.
I picked the Lakers over Philadelphia.
Lakers over Philly? Why not Lakers over somebody like Boston?
It could be Boston. My preseason pick was the Lakers over Philly, and like my man Nick Wright from First Things First says, pick integrity. So
yes.
I got to stay with Lakers, Sixers, at least through the season. But you're right. Boston looks great. I expected them to be better with Kemba than Kyrie, even though Kyrie, I believe, is a better individual player. Kemba fits more their culture and is better with the teammates. But I'm surprised at how well they've played. But I think Philly, Milwaukee, Boston, and Toronto are the 4 teams vying for that finals spot in the East. But I think Philadelphia has the most talent. I think Philadelphia definitely has the most, at least frontline talent, as far as Embiid, Simmons, and Tobias Harris, and Al Horford. Those 4 stars, that's being generous maybe with a couple of them, but stars, that's more than anybody else has. Boston has a lot of young talent, and obviously they're well coached with Brad Stevens. So they got a chance. I mean, it's going to be a great Eastern Conference playoffs.
I'm going to love watching it regardless. And, speaking about loving watching, I love watching you on The Odd Couple. I love watching you on First Take. What is it like to even... not First Take. I love watching you on Undisputed with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. What is it like working with a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest broadcasters of all time?
It's, you can't really get caught up in thinking I'm up here with the mighty Skip Bayless, or the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp. You just have to go up there. Obviously, you respect them, and we're friendly. Skip and I go way back to cold pizza, and so we have a friendly relationship. And Shannon, obviously, there's respect and kindness in that relationship. So you respect each other. You respect each other's knowledge. And then you just go at it. You can't be deferential. You can't, because they're not even going to want you up there. If you're just deferential and you agree with everything they say and you're not giving any pushback, if pushback is what you feel you should give, they won't keep you on the show for long. So they want you to bring your expertise and your knowledge and your take and combat them about it if that's what it is. And so you just have to, while you respect them, obviously, you have to believe you deserve to be up there with them and go at it with them. And the thing is that Skip, some people may not recognize, he was a great writer and columnist. Shannon Sharp obviously was a Hall of Famer. I was a beat writer and covered the NBA for many years. Rob Parker, who's obviously my co-host with The Odd Couple, but he's on that show as well. He's got decades worth of reporting experience. So that gives you a credibility to go back at them with your takes. Someone up there who hasn't really done anything, everybody's got an opinion.
Yes.
But someone who doesn't have the credibility of covering the sport or any sports or of making a name for themselves in radio or whatever it may be, you can't really go at them like that.
Yes.
Because you don't have the credibility to do that. And even though you may make good points, it's just a different vibe if you don't have that credibility from the experience of covering the team. So you got to work your way up to that. That's the thing. Like all these people you see, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon, all these opinionists, Colin Cowherd, they work their way up. Cowherd is different because he was in radio, but most of these guys were reporters.
Yes.
And so that's how they earn their credibility. And now they've graduated, and some of them long ago graduated, to being able to just give their opinion.
Would earning credibility be the best advice you give to those up-and-coming journalists or sports reporters like myself?
Yes, and you do that by reporting. I cover high school sports. I cover college sports. I covered the NBA, obviously, for many years. And so that's how you gain credibility. Because, and to be honest, too, you learn stuff you don't even know you don't know. Because I played basketball in college, so obviously I know the sport. But covering the Cleveland Cavaliers when Mike Fratello was the coach and talking to him about basketball, the players, talking to them, talking to some of the assistant coach, Tom Thibodeau when he was assistant to Jeff Van Gundy with the Knicks when I covered the team, talking to those two about the game. Every day you're interviewing them, and sometimes off the record you're talking with them about the game. You learn things you didn't even know you didn't know.
Yes.
And so there's an insight to the game on many different levels that on the outside you won't know. And so being a reporter enables you to learn those things and have a stronger, can give you a stronger opinion and one that's more rooted in fact than just coming from the outside and never having covered any sports and things like that and having an opinion.
You are greatly rooted in sports and in your faith, which is something that you instill with the King movement. How can people learn more about it?
Well, the King movement, we have a website. It's kingmovement.com. King is an acronym that stands for knowledge, inspiration, and nurture through God. And what it is in a nutshell is a national Christian men's movement that is geared towards strengthening men in their faith.
Yes.
So we want to provide brotherhood, accountability, encouragement, teaching, and fellowship to help men who have made a commitment to follow Jesus Christ to live out that commitment Monday through Saturday, not just on Sunday in church, but live it out in their relationships with their wives, in their relationships with their children, in the workplace, to be the men of integrity and character and strength and authority that God has called us to be. And we feel like when you've got a group of men who are fighting that same battle, who are trying to live that same way, that can make it easier for all of us to walk as we should.
If anybody wanted to connect with you, how can they do that?
You can hit me on the email at king@kingmovement.com, king@kingmovement.com. Here in Cleveland, Mario Hauser, who's a pastor here at the church on the North Coast in Wickliffe, he is one of our leaders in the Cleveland chapter of King, so you can reach out to him. I am on Twitter at Chris_Broussard, Instagram, Chris Broussard68. But those are generally the best ways to reach me.
Well, nothing else needs to be asked. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Chris Broussard. Make sure y'all check him out on Undisputed, The Odd Couple. Thank y'all for watching. See y'all next time. I'm out.